In 2025, owning a dog in the US can cost you thousands of dollars a year. Today, I'm showing you 5 American cities where retiring can cost about the same or less. No luxury, no hype, just places where your money actually survives. Let's get into it.
Let's start with Lubbock, Texas. And no, this is not the Texas you see in movies. There are no mountains, no beaches, no skyline shots for Instagram. What Lubbock does have is something far more useful when you're retired. Very low costs and very few surprises. Lubbock sits out in West Texas, and the first thing you'll notice is how flat it is. Not kind of flat, aggressively flat. The upside? No traffic, no congestion, and no one rushing you anywhere. Housing is where Lubbock really earns its spot on this list. Home prices and rents here are well below the national average, even in 2025. You can still find modest homes at prices that would barely cover a down payment in most major cities. For retirees on a fixed income, that matters more than scenery. Texas also has no state income tax, which means your Social Security, pensions, and retirement withdrawals stay mostly untouched. That alone puts Lubbock ahead of many so-called retirement destinations that quietly tax you to death. Daily expenses are another reason Lubbock works. Groceries, utilities, insurance, and basic services are all cheaper than average. You're not paying tourist prices, resort prices, or this neighborhood is trendy prices. You're paying regular, boring, predictable prices, which is exactly what retirement should be. Now let's talk healthcare, because this is where cheap cities usually fail. Lubbock actually does better than expected. It's home to a major medical hub anchored by university-affiliated hospitals, including Texas Tech University Health Sciences Center. That means access to specialists, modern facilities, and care that goes far beyond what you'd expect for a city this affordable. Is it world-class? No, but for routine care, chronic conditions, and aging-related needs, Lubbock covers the basics very well. Safety-wise, Lubbock is mixed. Violent crime exists, but it's concentrated in certain areas. Many residential neighborhoods are quiet, uneventful, and exactly the kind of places retirees disappear into, in a good way. If you choose wisely where you live, safety is not a daily concern here. Now, let's be honest about the downsides, because Lubbock has several. The weather can be rough. Summers are hot, dry, and windy. Winters are usually mild, but can surprise you with sudden cold snaps. And the wind. Yes, the wind deserves its own warning. Entertainment options are limited. This is not a city where something exciting happens every night. There are restaurants, local events, college sports, and that's about it. If you need constant stimulation, Lubbock will feel painfully boring. But here's the trade-off. Lubbock doesn't demand your money or your energy. It lets you live quietly, affordably, and without pressure to keep up with anyone. This is a city for retirees who value stability over excitement, who prefer a calm routine instead of chasing the next hot place to live. Lubbock is not a dream city, it's a practical one, and when you're retired, practicality often beats perfection. City number 2 is Johnson City, Tennessee. And if you've never heard of it, that's actually part of the appeal. Johnson City sits in the northeastern corner of Tennessee, tucked into the Appalachian Mountains. This is not a flashy place. It's not trying to impress anyone. And for retirees, that's usually a good sign. Let's start with the biggest financial advantage right away. Tennessee has no state income tax. That means your Social Security, pensions, and retirement income are not taxed at the state level. For people living on fixed incomes, this alone can mean thousands of dollars saved every year. Housing in Johnson City is still relatively affordable, even in 2025. Prices have gone up, like everywhere else, but compared to national averages, this place remains firmly on the reasonable side. You can still find small homes, condos, and rentals that don't feel like financial punishment. And unlike some ultra-cheap towns, Johnson City isn't falling apart. Neighborhoods are generally well-kept, quiet, and stable. This is a city where people stay for a long time, not a place that constantly resets itself.
Daily expenses here are another strong point. Groceries, utilities, gas, and services are all below or close to the national average. You're not paying resort pricing, tourist pricing, or everyone's moving here pricing, at least not yet. Now, let's talk about healthcare, because Johnson City punches above its weight here. The city is home to a strong regional medical system, including Ballad Health and a VA medical center. That means access to hospitals, specialists, and long-term care options without needing to drive hours to a major metro. For retirees, this is critical. You don't want to live cheap and then pay for it later with poor access to care. Johnson City avoids that trap. Safety in Johnson City is generally decent. Like most mid-sized towns, crime exists, but it's not overwhelming and it's not constant. Many residential areas are quiet, low-key, and uneventful, exactly what most retirees are looking for. This is not a place where you're constantly watching the news to see what went wrong overnight. Now let's talk about lifestyle, because this is where Johnson City really defines itself. Life here is slow, not relaxing vacation slow, everyday slow. If your idea of happiness includes hiking trails, mountain views, quiet mornings, and short drives to nature, Johnson City delivers. The surrounding Appalachians offer scenery, fresh air, and outdoor activities without crowds or entrance fees. If your idea of happiness involves nightlife, luxury shopping, or endless dining options, this city will disappoint you quickly. Entertainment options are limited. There are local restaurants, small events, college sports, and community festivals, and that's pretty much the list. But here's the thing, Johnson City doesn't pretend to be something it's not. It doesn't lure people in with hype and then charge them for it later. It offers a quiet, predictable routine and charges accordingly. Weather is another mixed bag. You get all 4 seasons here. Summers are warm and humid, but not unbearable. Winters are generally mild, with occasional snow, but nothing extreme. Spring and fall are actually very pleasant. For many retirees, this balance is ideal, especially if you're trying to escape harsh winters without committing to Florida-level heat. Now, let's talk honestly about the downsides. Johnson City can feel isolated. Major airports, big city amenities, and specialized services require driving. Job opportunities are limited, which isn't an issue if you're retired, but it does affect the overall economy and energy of the city. And boredom is a real possibility. If you need constant stimulation, this place will feel repetitive very fast. But if you're retiring to slow down, not to be entertained, Johnson City makes a lot of sense. This is a city for people who want their money to last longer than their to-do list, for retirees who value peace, affordability, and access to nature over excitement and status. Johnson City isn't exciting, it isn't trendy, and it doesn't care. And for the right kind of retiree, that's exactly why it works. City number 3 is Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And yes, this is the Lancaster with Amish buggies, farmland, and people who don't seem to be in a hurry. But beneath that quiet exterior, Lancaster is one of the most practical places to retire cheaply in the northeastern United States. Let's get the obvious out of the way first. Lancaster is not exciting, it's not trendy, and it's definitely not trying to reinvent itself every 5 minutes. What it offers instead is stability, the kind of stability retirees actually need. Housing costs in Lancaster are still reasonable compared to much of the Northeast. In 2025, prices here remain well below what you'd pay in nearby major metros like Philadelphia, Baltimore, or New York's outer suburbs. You can find modest single-family homes, townhouses, and apartments that don't require sacrificing your retirement savings. And unlike some cheap areas, Lancaster's housing stock is generally solid. Homes are maintained, neighborhoods are orderly, and there's a strong sense of permanence. This is not a place built on speculation or hype. Daily living expenses are another reason Lancaster works. Groceries, utilities, and services are close to or slightly below the national average. You're not paying tourist pricing or luxury premiums. You're paying normal, predictable costs. Pennsylvania does tax some forms of income, but Social Security is not taxed, and retirement income is treated more gently than many people expect. It's not a tax-free paradise, but it's far from the worst option. Now let's talk about one of Lancaster's biggest strengths, healthcare. This is where Lancaster quietly outperforms many cheaper cities. The region is served by well-regarded hospital systems, including Penn Medicine Lancaster General Health. For retirees, this matters more than trendy restaurants or scenic views. Access to quality healthcare without long travel times is a major advantage, and Lancaster delivers here. Safety is another strong point. While no city is crime-free, Lancaster's residential areas are generally calm and low risk. Violent crime rates are lower than many similarly sized cities, especially outside the small urban core. This is a place where retirees can live without constantly worrying about security. Lifestyle in Lancaster is slow, structured, and very routine. Life revolves around local shops, farmers markets, community events, and simple pleasures. There's a strong sense of order here, and for some people, that's incredibly comforting. Lancaster is also uniquely well located. You're within driving distance of Philadelphia, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., and even New York City. That means you can enjoy big city amenities when you want them, without paying big city prices every day. Now let's talk about the climate, because this is where Lancaster divides people. You get all 4 seasons. Summers are warm and humid, winters are cold, gray, and very real. If you're trying to escape winter entirely, Lancaster is not for you. But if you're comfortable with seasonal changes, and maybe even enjoy them, it's manageable. Now the downsides. Lancaster can feel old-fashioned. Change happens slowly here. If you're expecting constant development or modern excitement, you'll be disappointed. Nightlife is minimal, entertainment options are limited. This is not a city that stays awake late, and it's not trying to. But here's the trade-off. Lancaster doesn't drain your money, your energy, or your patience. It offers a steady, affordable, low-stress environment where retirees can focus on living, not managing chaos. Lancaster is for people who value reliability over novelty, for retirees who want good healthcare, reasonable costs, and a predictable daily rhythm. It's not glamorous, it's not exciting, but it works. And when you're retired, "it works" is often the highest compliment a city can receive.
City number 4 is Gainesville, Florida. And yes, it's Florida, but before you start picturing crowded beaches, endless tourists, and traffic nightmares, let me stop you. Gainesville is Florida without all the hype, which for a retiree is actually a huge bonus. Gainesville is home to the University of Florida, which means the city has some culture, sports, and energy, without being overwhelming. The student population adds a little buzz, but the city is still manageable, affordable, and quiet enough for a retirement lifestyle. Let's start with money, because that's why we're here. Florida has no state income tax. That means Social Security, pensions, and retirement income are mostly untouched by the state government. For retirees, that's huge. Your money stays yours instead of disappearing into taxes. Housing in Gainesville is more expensive than some of our other cities, Lubbock or Johnson City, for example, but it's still very reasonable compared to most Florida hotspots. You can find small single-family homes, condos, and rental apartments at prices that let your retirement budget breathe. Utilities and daily expenses are fairly standard for the region. Groceries, gas, and services are affordable, and you're not paying the ridiculous tourist markup you'd see in Miami or Tampa. Gainesville keeps costs in check while still offering the convenience of a medium-sized city. Now let's talk healthcare, because this is critical for retirees. Gainesville is home to UF Health Shands Hospital, a well-regarded teaching hospital that offers excellent access to specialists and advanced care. That's a level of medical support you don't always get in smaller, cheaper towns. So if healthcare access is a priority, Gainesville has you covered. Safety-wise, Gainesville is generally good, though like any city, there are neighborhoods to avoid. The majority of residential areas are quiet, walkable, and suitable for retirees who want to live without constant concern about crime. Lifestyle here is where Gainesville strikes a balance. You have the perks of Florida, mild winters, outdoor activities, parks, and lakes, without the chaos of high tourism areas. There's enough happening to keep life interesting, but not so much that it becomes stressful or expensive. The climate is typical Florida, warm and humid, especially in the summer.
Rain is common in the afternoon, and mosquitoes, well, they exist. But winters are mild and pleasant, perfect for those who want to escape the harsh northern cold. Downsides? Yes, Gainesville has them. The humidity can be oppressive if you're not used to it. The student population, while adding energy, can also create pockets of noise or traffic around campus areas. And yes, summers are hot. Not just warm, hot. Entertainment options are varied but small scale. There are local theaters, restaurants, and cultural events, but Gainesville isn't a nightlife capital. If you're looking for glitzy clubs, trendy districts, or big city drama, you won't find it here. But here's the deal. Gainesville offers a sweet spot. You get Florida's benefits, no state income tax, mild winters, access to healthcare and outdoor recreation without paying Miami-level prices or dealing with endless crowds. Gainesville is practical, manageable, and surprisingly comfortable. It's a place where retirees can live well, spend wisely, and enjoy life without constant stress. It's not glamorous, it's not flashy, and it doesn't pretend to be. But when your priority is affordability, healthcare, and a calm pace of life, Gainesville checks all the boxes. For retirees looking to enjoy the Sunshine State quietly, Gainesville is the kind of Florida city that quietly wins every time.
City number 5 is Greenville, South Carolina. And if you've never considered Greenville before, that's understandable. It's not New York, it's not Miami, and it's not trying to be. But for retirees looking for a combination of affordability, charm, and stability, Greenville quietly earns its place on the list. Greenville is a medium-sized city tucked into the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains. It has a vibrant downtown, a growing arts scene, and just enough restaurants, shops, and cultural attractions to make daily life interesting without overwhelming you or emptying your wallet. Let's start with housing, because that's where retirees notice the difference. In 2025, Greenville's home prices are still reasonable compared to many East Coast cities. You can find modest single-family homes, townhouses, and apartments at prices that allow a retiree's budget to stretch. The housing stock is generally well-maintained, neighborhoods are safe, and the city has a sense of permanence that's rare in rapidly growing towns. Daily expenses in Greenville are slightly above the national average, but still manageable. Groceries, utilities, and services are affordable, especially when compared to larger cities in the region. You're not paying for flashy amenities, high-end, trendy districts, or tourist premiums. What you get is solid value for your money. South Carolina has state income tax, but retirees still benefit from favorable treatment on certain types of retirement income, and Social Security is exempt. It's not tax-free, but Greenville doesn't punish you for retiring. Healthcare is another reason Greenville makes sense. The city is home to Prisma Health, a well-regarded hospital system with access to specialists and modern care. Retirees can get medical attention without driving hours to a big city, which is a critical factor in choosing a retirement destination. Safety in Greenville is generally good. Violent crime exists, but like most cities, it is concentrated in specific areas. Many residential neighborhoods are quiet, family-friendly, and suitable for retirees looking for a low-stress environment. Lifestyle in Greenville strikes a balance between calm and convenience. Downtown Greenville has a walkable main street with restaurants, shops, and small events throughout the year, providing enough entertainment without overwhelming a retiree's schedule or budget. The surrounding Blue Ridge foothills offer access to outdoor recreation, hiking, parks, and scenic drives without the crowds of bigger tourist destinations. This is an important point for retirees who value nature and fresh air. Climate in Greenville is mild compared to the Northeast. Winters are short and generally bearable, while summers can be hot and humid. Rain is seasonal but not extreme, and the city avoids the hurricanes common in coastal areas. Downsides? Yes, there are a few. Housing prices have been slowly rising as more people discover Greenville. The city is growing, which means it's slowly becoming less hidden gem and more noticed. If you're seeking a completely quiet, untouched town, Greenville may feel a little busy. Job opportunities exist, but for retirees this is mostly irrelevant. Nightlife is moderate, cultural events are small scale, and if you're expecting constant excitement, Greenville may seem tame. But here's the thing, Greenville provides balance, affordable enough to stretch retirement dollars, safe enough to live comfortably, vibrant enough to avoid boredom, but calm enough to avoid stress. Greenville is practical, accessible, and charming without being pretentious. It's not flashy, it's not overhyped, and it doesn't try to impress anyone who isn't living there. For retirees who value affordability, convenience, healthcare access, and a moderate lifestyle, Greenville quietly checks all the boxes. It's not the cheapest city on the list, it's not the flashiest, but it works, and in retirement, that often matters more than glamour, hype, or Instagram appeal.
So there you have it, 5 cities where retiring can cost less than keeping a dog. None of them are glamorous, none of them will make your friends jealous on Instagram, but all of them let your money stretch, your stress shrink, and your retirement actually happen. Now it's your turn. Which of these cities would you actually retire to? And which one would you run away from screaming? Comment below. I promise I'll read every sarcastic reply. If you enjoyed this brutally honest tour of cheap retirement spots, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because next week we're ranking more towns you never heard of, some good, some not so much. Until then, keep your money safe, your expectations realistic, and your sarcasm sharp.